I'm basically an open book, and I'm here to share tonight. Can't hear you.
Miss Mayfield, tell us about yourself.
My name is Mayfield Goddard Aditamarin. I have two last names to honor two of the most important men ever in my life, which was my dad and my husband. Um, I came to America at 15 years old. My dad died, I was 12, and left my mom and us. We were 7 children of my mom, and she decided a year after my dad died to actually migrate to America. She had a sister that's been living here for a long, long time. So I was 15 years old. Like about a week or two after my 15th birthday, I came to America. I am now 55 years old. I have three wonderful sons. I've been married for the last 25 years, been with my husband 35 years. And I'm the proud grandma, the proud nana of a 5-year-old. Um, for for me, I'm very, like Barbara was saying about being open, I'm open tonight to any questions or anything asked of me, because within the last 55 years, I've learned a lot that I would love to share and inspire and support other women. So that's been my life. I currently work for the city of New York for the last 28 years. Um, and now I am doing a lot of things on my own where I'm an avid, I love hiking. That's my new thing to do. I love hiking. I love just anything outdoors, anything water. Um, just enjoying. I think now it's like my children are grown, they're on their own. I'm having the best time just being me and not having a lot of the noise and the crowd that that you do as a mother and a parent when the children are younger. So now I'm getting actually to sit down and discover me and what I want to do and who I want to be. And it's exciting, it's exciting to be able to do all these new things, work on myself, like I'm doing the work, Shimona, thank you. I'm doing the work and finding some new exciting places and spaces I want to be in. I'm creating new ways of helping others. I'm in the right now I'm creating a YouTube channel that I will be supporting people in general in how to thrive and how to move forward in spite of whatever we may have gone through as in our young lives. So I'm here, I'm happy to support, I'm happy to answer, and I'm ready.
Awesome. Thank you, Miss Mayfield. Your video froze a little bit, but we heard everything that you said.
Okay.
So we're going to get into some of the questions I have tonight. And I just want to let everybody know that as these young women talk about their experience and they answer the questions, this is from their experience, right? This is their perspective, this is their perception, and this is their life and how they perceive these issues, or their responses are based on their vulnerability or their ability to be vulnerable, right? Nobody's right or wrong. And we want to encourage their experience, right? So as they talk, we want to encourage them, even if we feel like, we may have experienced something differently. We just want to continue to encourage their experience and let them experience their experience here tonight. Okay. So the first question on the table tonight is going to be, and I wanted to bring this question to these ladies because they're powerhouses, right? Like Mayfield said, she's been in the city for a really long time, and Barbara as well has been in various roles within the city and working in various different workforces. And something that we talked about in our last discussion around the workforce and just women in general. My question is, do you guys feel like you have faced or that you have been questioned at your ability to lead because you were a woman?
Um, for me, not outwardly questioned, but of course, I feel like as women, especially in the city where most people expect the boss to be a man. Right now, I'm a manager, I'm a director. I have about 4 to 5 men in my unit that I'm directly, supervising. And there are ways where sometimes you see that they're having a hard time with what you have to say, what you ask of them. Moving up the chain, I'm lucky that a lot of the people that are above me in management are women. I do have a male supervisor at the time, right now, as we speak. But I've never really felt too challenged, like you're a woman, you don't know what you're talking about, you're a woman, you can't do this. But there have been instances in which you have to navigate, right? And you have to watch your tone. And that's with anybody you approach, right? But especially when you're coming, especially our age group with men in their 50s, men in their 40s, men, I have even had men in their 60s around me. There's a way you have to navigate that, because that generation were used to the men being the supervisors, the men being the boss. So you still have to be very careful, although you're a supervisor and you're like, okay, I'm the manager here. You still have to learn how to navigate your way and how to bring people into the fold and not to antagonize them. So yes, you do feel the push sometimes. You do feel you see the look, but it all depends on how you navigate the system, how you show respect, and how you stand your ground that it is workable.
All right. Thank you, Mayfield. Barbara, what's your experience with that?
For me, it isn't as a woman. I would have to say it's as a Black woman. I find myself being perceived as a threat. And being in situations where other women may feel, she thinks she's smarter. She thinks she's going further. Who does she think she is? I've had the experience of being questioned by women who don't look like me as to why I make so much money. When they compare me with someone who has just started a job without the education, without the credentials, the experience. So for me, it's more of being a threat as a woman, or being perceived as the angry Black woman, when you're not even angry. I've had people try to gaslight me into believing that I was angry when I was sitting there having a great day, and they're like, "Why are you so dark today?" So it's not necessarily as a woman per se, is as a Black woman.
Like, you gotta prove it twice. I always say, as a Black woman, you have to prove it twice, sometimes 3 times, right? Yeah. In my experience, to that particular issue, going back to that, it was not so much as leadership. It was more like Bob's experience. It was like, because you saw me, it was like my background, where I grew up, my credentials and everything. It was like they would hire a Caucasian woman before they would hire me for a higher position, giving all the experience I had, giving the fact that I came from a lot of communities that the organization will be working in. That didn't matter. What mattered was like, okay, this person looks like they can do the job better because of, the color of their skin or whatever. So if we're going to hire a woman, we're most likely going to hire her, right?
Yes, exactly.
And there were times when I most of the time I had men supervisors. I had maybe 1 or 2 male subordinates, but I never got problems from them, either higher up or below. But it's like we said, women are multifaceted. It can come from any direction. But I just wanted to see like if your leadership was ever questioned, because it sometimes it is that they because women sometimes when you get hired for a new job, let's say you're pregnant when you start the job, it's an issue. You can't tell them you're pregnant because you're going to be out in a couple of months. So it's a problem. Oh, no, we can't give you a management position. Oh, we can't hire you. You got to hush, hush about your pregnancy and, keep it quiet till you're showing. By that time, you off probation. They can't fire you. Like, it's so many things we have to navigate. And then, they worry because you have to have childcare, or they worry because, even they, like Barbara said, the angry Black woman thing, or just women in general. I've seen women of other cultures be attacked, if they're just not having a bad day. Oh, what are you on your period or something? Like our personal lives or our personal issues get highlighted so much in the workforce, just because we're women, right? You don't hear nobody saying to a man, oh, is your prostate hurting, or is something going, like you don't even hear about male issues in the workplace.
No.
I don't know if there is a male issue that's ever talked about in the workplace other than their egos, right? So, yeah.
Just to back up Shimona a bit, I had 2 children while I'm in doing my employment in the city, and I remembered I had a child prior, and I was having my second child right after my first year with the city, and I was scared. I'm like, I'm barely here a year. I'm pregnant, I'm worried about what happens if I don't get the health care. And at that time, it was so far behind. The city was laying off. I think it was Dinkins. And we had a major layoff. And I was afraid to even let them know because I'm like one of the last people in and I'm pregnant. So all of that added stress of, being careful, and you're happy you're pregnant, but then it's scary. It's a very scary time. So yeah, I get that. And I had 2 children through my service with the city. So
and even like with other women issues, like there are women that deal with, actual reproductive issues that cause issues. Like I had really bad cramps at one time, and because I had fibroids, but I couldn't tell my supervisor, oh, I can't come to work today because I have fibroids and I'm in pain. I had to go to work and deal with it. I had to, I used to soak pants sometimes because I was hemorrhaging so heavy. I couldn't go to my supervisor and be like, oh, I got to leave early. I had to figure it out. I remember I bought $50 slacks because I had to change out of pants in the city, and so it's like we have to suppress and hide so much of our personal issues and our personal lives because we are women. So thank you guys. That was, audience, you can feel free to get in the chat box, thumbs up. Yeah, been through that. Because we want your support and energy here as well. So that was a heavy question. So let's talk a little bit about how do we as women, like as a subculture, I know we talked about subculture before, and I don't want it to be just focused on Black women, because yes, we are a subculture of Black women. I think there's a majority of Black women on this call. But the reality is we work with a multifaceted women of all cultures, right? And at the end of the day, there's a lot of issues, right? One of the issues we have is, like we just talked about, being passed up by women in other cultures. How do we become a stronger subculture where, in history, we know that the women's movement moved forward faster than civil rights, right? But how do we as a subculture stop that, right? How do we be comfortable with saying to women in other cultures, listen, we need to support each other? Like, what do you guys think would be what does that look like? What does that sound like? How do we start that conversation?
Is that me or Miss Mayfield?
Barbara, you can start.
So for me, I've started something new that helps to bridge the gap between me and other women. And what I do is I am seeking mentors mentors of different cultures and mentors of different ages. Most people believe that we're here to mentor the young folks and to give them a rise so they can reach where they need to go. But my goal is to have a younger mentor, female, and then older mentor, and then, you know, someone about my age. But I'm picking what they look like based on what they look like, because we all have different experiences when it comes to life, right? Based on our filters that we all have. And so we can all pick and choose what we need to learn from each of those different mentors. So yeah, mentorship, no matter what age you are, is a good way to bring the cultures together, because they'll learn something as well as you do, right? And so one of the things I'm looking at, and I was talking to a friend about this, I said, we definitely need younger mentors. And he was like, well, what am I supposed to get from someone younger? And I'm like, you know what? If we take what we have and we mesh what they have, can you imagine how much knowledge that is? How much innovation that is? How we can move forward? Not only, you know, mentally, financially, technologically, you know, so we need to start working together and find new ways to inspire others through mentorship. Don't always pick the person that looks like you.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Ms. Mayfield, how do we start the conversation? Like, what are some of the things we can do to start bridging that, you know, building that, bridging that gap and, you know, coming together as a subculture?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of something Barbara said very quickly, the young could teach us a lot. My best friend is 20 years younger than I am, and he's male. And we have a friendship, genuine, no mother, son, no, I'm smarter than you. So yes, Barbara, I absolutely agree that the young can have a great friendship and teach us a lot. So thank you for saying that. What I try to do is approach women with genuine love. We have a way of feeling that that there's maybe a competition between women, and I don't know what they're competing for, right? And I truly believe that there's so much abundance and there's so much available to all of us that there's enough for everyone. So what I do, if I just approach women with genuine with genuine openness and let them know I compliment women. I let them know I think they're beautiful. I love beautiful people, all races, all whatever. I just love positive, beautiful people. And a lot of times when I approach women and I say, oh, you look so beautiful today, and start that kind of conversation, it's a surprise, it's a shock. It's like, I don't believe you, what do you want, you know? And that's a shame that we don't trust each other to understand that the concern and the love and the everything is genuine, because somehow we've been pitted against each other, right? We've been even if when we get into issues with men, the women will fight each other. And the man will stand back and be the spectator and enjoy the ego trip, right? So we've been pitted against each other for so long that we're buying into it now, and we're attacking each other without need be. So for me, I'm letting women know that yes, I love you. Yes, I think you're beautiful. Yes, you're smart. Yes, you're intelligent. Giving them compliments, seeking advice, giving advice if that's what they want, and just building a relationship and knowing that there's enough for all of us, and there's no competition, there's no fight. The cat fight, you know, they're all expecting us to having this cat fight going on. Going back to the stuff Barbara spoke of earlier when we talk about the angry Black woman, you know, I had a staff who, every time he comes to me, a male white, talk to me about one of his staff giving him trouble, he always described them as angry, right? So that was a conversation I had to had with him, like, don't call her angry. Did you ask her what happened to her? Did you ask her if her child is sick, if her mom is sick? We all at the age, we have elderly parents. What did you ask her about her? And not just come to the conclusion that angry, right?
Can we mute ourselves if we're not speaking, please?
Yeah.
Thank
So for us, we have to let other women understand that we truly care for each other, that we are there for each other, that we're not competing, that there's room at the table for all of us. And if we stand together, we're greater than falling apart and coming in pieces instead of a cohesive group, you know. And we are powerful.
Yeah.
Women are very powerful. And I think they know that.
Mhm.
That's why the separation and divide is there, because when we get together, like you say, the women movement move faster than civil rights, right?
Yeah.
When we move together, when we come together as a cohesive group and work together, we can move mountains.
Yeah, and I would like to add to that. One of my theories and something that I've been working on, well, two of them, is empathy and forgiveness.
Yeah.
And that's self and others. I think it starts there. Because until we deal with the core issues, like coming together to talk about it, it's like we've had many conversations. We have the women's movement, we have the women's marches, and then someone comes up there and says this powerful speech, and then we all disperse and we're back to the same behaviors again. But we are uncomfortable with saying how we feel. We're uncomfortable with saying, Barbara, you hurt my feelings when you said X. Or Mayfield, you know, I was jolted when, well, I felt jealous when you got that position that I really wanted, or I got jealous when you when you got that house, you know, because I really wanted a house. We're afraid to say how we feel with fear of looking bad, feeling ashamed, but a feeling is a feeling. It's not a fact. It is not the truth. It's not false. It's your feeling. Until we get comfortable with sharing our feelings and being okay with our feelings, we can then get to the bottom of them. Because then me and Mayfield can have a conversation about that jealousy. And Mayfield can say, you know what, I apologize. No, not that I apologize for my growth, but I see you and I understand that, you know, you may feel that way. However, how can I support you in getting the things that you need? Right? But until we talk to each other and be vulnerable and share how we feel without shame or blame or fear, we will continue to harbor those feelings and they come off as angry or irritability or social differences or separation or divide, right? Because we're afraid to say to a white woman, I feel like because of your color you have advanced further than I have, right? We just keep it quiet to ourselves because we don't want to seem racist or we don't want to this or that. We have to be comfortable with sharing our feelings so we can get to the bottom of things and work through them through honesty, through empathy and support. Okay?
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in here with, you know, we also have to be okay with setting boundaries and showing our strength. I had a nurse manager when I was working in a practice who used to like to step on people to get to where she was. And so she would light fires under people, so to speak, in order to get them out the way. And I remember one time she tried to stir the pot where I was concerned. And so I pulled her into the ladies' room and I told her, I said, I'm not here to step on you to get to where I need to be. So I expect you to do the same. And she started crying. She started crying in the ladies' room. And I was like, don't cry now, because this is what you do. And I know this is what you do. So I was setting the stage to let her know, my boundaries are this with you, and you're not going to do it. And of course, I had to go back to, you know, the supervisor and let her know, this is exactly what I did. I made her cry to cover myself. But I had to set the boundaries to let her know that you can't do that and get away with it. You know, I guess now they call the term, what is it, Karen? Being a
Mhm.
Karen?
Mhm.
Yeah. But back then, you know, we called it stirring the pot. So we have to be brave and willing to step up and let people know that, you know, these are our boundaries.
Yeah, and it's not okay. That's what I mean. Like being honest. Sometimes she may have needed that conversation. She needed somebody to stand up to her and shine a light on her stuff. And that's a support system. Because everybody would let her get away with it and talk about it behind her back. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
faced her and you acknowledged where it affected you and where your boundary was. And that's support. It made, you know, people don't look at that as support, but that's support because now you shined a light on her. Now she has, this is a growth opportunity for her. Now I need to change my behavior because this is how
Yeah.
I'm showing up and this is how I'm affecting people.
And it benefited her in the end. It did benefit her because, you know, she stopped doing what she was doing and people became closer to her. They were able to work with her better.
You helped her grow with honesty and vulnerability.
Mhm.
And courage. So yes, that's absolutely what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
So
one thing, I just want to, since we're in this area, I recently had to call a meeting with my supervisor, because like you said, you know, you have questions, you have things holding, and it's better if you talk on it. So my meeting with her was to ask her the reason why I went for a certain position so many times and never got it. Although I always get the call, the second call and the third call when it comes to the position. And it took me a while, you know, because I was trying to get through to her. It was more for me to grow than me asking her for something, right? It took more than half the conversation. I was trying to let her understand, look, I'm doing the work on me, and I'm a coach telling other people to do their work. And I want to do this work because I don't feel genuine feeling this. And I'm working with others, and I have this big thing that I need to talk about. So, you know, and I let her know that her reasons was not really the what I came for. What I came for is for me to ask the question, I already won. For me to ask for the meeting, I already won. For me to be there to face her to say, look, I've been to 8 second level management interviews, always got great reviews, always got called back. And then you give it to someone else that either I trained, came in after me or something, right? And she was just trying to navigate her way through that. And I felt I came off the call so empowered, because what I went for was for what you said. I'm setting boundaries. I'm letting you know that I have ambition. I'm letting you know that I'm not blind. Letting you know that I'm not just sitting there quietly. And now I'm getting some repercussion from it, because I don't think they understood that I wasn't asking for anything, that I was just empowering myself by just doing the asking. So I'm watching them now nitpicking. My unit did 2,200 cases last year. They pulled 2 and wrote me up on the 2. I'm the manager. I don't do cases. That should have been a write-up on the supervisor, but I took it because I'm the leader, right? And as a leader of this unit, I took the write-up, right? But just to show you that even as women, and 2 of us being Black women, and me saying to another woman, you know, having this conversation, thinking that I was in a safe space with her, you know, because of the history of the long time I worked with her, you still have to be very careful, because now they're like, oh, when the position comes up next, she's coming for it, right? I don't even understand right now how I feel. You can't even pay me for my peace of mind, so I don't even know how I'm putting in the application. So it's so much you have to navigate, but I truly believe in speaking up for yourself. Let it be known why you're here. Let it be know your value. Let them know it. Although you don't want something right now, let them know I'm here. Do you see me? You see me when you want to work. I want you to see me now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Thank you, ladies, for those strong responses. And that is these conversations have to be had. I just want to add, so before I go into anything else, we're at 8:45. Like I said, I try to get everyone out by 9 o'clock. Is everybody in agreement with us going to 9 and then breaking at 9 so we can get some more questions in, and then we'll break at 9? If you have to go, that's fine. My panelists, are you okay with another 12 to 15 minutes? Awesome.
Yeah.
So my next question is, we talked about like how do we start the conversation. We talked about like how to like what are some of the trigger points and everything. I would like to add one thing, and one thing that I'm very, very sensitive about is trauma, right? We see people every day, and we can only come up with an opinion of someone based on what we see or what we hear. Like our five senses allow us to see. But there are some underlying traumas that influence people's behavior sometimes. So with that said, do you think, I mean, I know you're probably both are going to agree. Do you think with the current temperature of society and how it's like highlighting or shining a light on a lot of our traumas, do you think it's helping or hurting us? Like, for instance, I try to stay away from these topics, but they have to be talked about. The R. Kelly situation, where we're talking about women who were basically abused, according to that. Let me say, well, he was convicted, so I don't have to say allegedly, but I wasn't there, so I'll say allegedly. With the Me Too movement, with reality TV, and all the ways that our trauma is being displayed all over social media and the media and television. Do you think that is helping or hurting those traumas, and kind of studying our growth to move forward as a subculture?
Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
Mayfield, you start.
Okay, all right. So it's like a twofold thing where I see the harm and I see the good. It's always good to highlight and put things out of the dark, take it out of the dark and put it out there. The fear is the oversaturation of it, right? That it becomes kind of just slip off the tongue and become, oh, here goes those Me Too's again. Mm-hmm. And it also being used and abused by women themselves to further what they want, right? So it's not a simple thing, because every woman that come up and yell trauma is not, right? The buzzword right now is trigger. Everybody's triggering each other, right? And now the word is so common, it's like, what's triggering you, right? When I went back to work, we were out of work for almost 2 years. So I knew going back to the office, I called it, we were all touched by the pandemic, right? And I expected that. I have a staff of 16 people. It used to be almost 20, but some left recently. So I knew we were going back in to face trauma of people who lost parents while we were out. There are so much family members, including me, to COVID, going back out. But now I'm in the office to see the gravity and the individuals that used to carry themselves like I'm the strong one, to see that the trauma that's going on just in my unit, in my area, it's good that it's out there, that you know it and that you can recognize it, and with recognizing it, you could pull that person aside and try to send them to some kind of give them some kind of services. The city has a hotline. They have numbers that I can refer my staff to. If they don't want to do that, I could say, you have healthcare call your doctor, get someone to refer you somewhere. I'm noticing this is going on. I'm seeing when I'm talking, it's triggering this. I see when I'm talking, you know, so it's good to be aware of it. My fear, especially with the YouTube movement, as the mother of 3 adult sons and the wife of a man who's in the workforce, is scary. Because my husband's generation, being that, you know, I'm not calling him his age, being that he's in his early 60s, they had certain words they used to address women as, with no disrespect, that's just the way they were. And, you know, he would talk to a coworker and he would be like, yes, there, yes, you know, and I had to tell my husband, stop doing that. And it's a shame that we have to do that, right? Because not everybody in the office mind when a man said, use certain terms with us. But now with the political correctness, right? It has gone so far to one side that it's taken away the humanness of us in the office, right? The spontaneity of how we communicated, right? The men are afraid of certain words. They're more careful. They come back not being who they were. And I'm not speaking on disrespecting women, but you know, I worked with some of these men for over 25 years. And I was 20 something years when I went there. I'm now 55. So we grew up in a way together, and to see the changes in them and in the way we communicate, and some of the words we used to use with each other that they're afraid to use now, it's quite disheartening. But I also understand that there's a lot of abuse that went on with the words, but just the way the whole thing is blanketed now. Like right now, we're doing the sexual harassment training with the city for the 2nd time for the year.
Yeah.
So every quarter we're doing the sexual harassment, the BQ, you know, the other trainings. Oh, we're being trained out of our skull with training on how to change our behavior towards each other that may not have been too abusive between us. You know, so it's a two-pronged thing. I see the abuse and why we need to be careful, but I just think it's going so far left right now that we're losing a part of our humanity with each other.
Right.
And that's what I miss.
You said the human experience.
The human experience has been like, it's been watered down and taken away because of fear. Right. You know, and that's what I miss. I miss that part of hanging with the men in my office and having that frank conversation with the men in the office.
Got it. So Barbara, can you speak to that? Like, do you feel like, you know, with the not so much of the display, but just the fact that we're talking about it more, it's more exposed, it's, you know, it's like an everyday conversation, like Mayfield said, it's changed the workforce. Do you feel like this is hurting or helping society and, you know, our subcultures? You're muted.
When you speak, thank you. When you speak of trauma, there are so many types of trauma that we as women endure. It's not just the Me Too movement. We as Black women have endured harassment, bullying in the workplace, you know, and even outside the workplace, there are all kinds of trauma that we experience. And a lot of this due to social media and you know, and TV is starting to come to light. And so what I see, I don't see it as all negative. I see some positivity in there where it's teaching us that it's okay to not be okay.
Okay.
It's okay to be depressed, because that depression is not who you are. It's something that you're going through. And there was a time that so many traumas that we went through as people were swept underneath the rug, right? And
Mhm.
so people were afraid to talk about it. So people were afraid to get help.
Mhm.
And now there are more resources due to that. I mean, although it wasn't a success, they created a whole program around mental health awareness, right?
Mhm.
So I think the exposure is good. You know, I think it's motivating women to do more in their lives when it comes to, let's say, helping other women to get over those traumas. You know, all those little dirty secrets that we used to have, they used to be hidden. They don't have to be hidden anymore. You know, if someone hits you, you're in a relationship, it's not your fault.
Mhm.
You don't have to be afraid. You know, there are options for you. But if we kept everything in the dark and we didn't have all these access to these tools,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Absolutely. Thank you, ladies. My little tidbit, I agree. It has its negative and it has its positive. I feel like, we're raw, we're naked because now we're being judged because we experienced trauma. We're being judged. Like now it's like, oh, let's tiptoe around a woman. We're now being bullied because we're sharing our stories and whatever. But on the other hand, it does take away the chivalry. What if you like a nice looking guy at the job? You can't tell him because you're gonna get in trouble. So you can't look at the nice looking guy at the workplace. You're gonna have to see a guy down the street or something like that. So I definitely get it. It has this negative and positive, not just to stay on the Me Too movement, because it's not just about them. It's about all stuff. Like I said, social media in general is not. When you think of like reality TV, how women's experience with men, relationships were just exposed. Like everything they're going to is on television for display, and now our everybody's watching it, right? You were watching on TV when somebody goes through an issue with their kid's father, or in their marriage, or if the husband left the woman for somebody else, and it's all on the show. It's on all that stuff is just exposed. And it's like we talked about things got swept under the rug, but is there some things that should be sacred and allow you to process and get through without the public's eye watching and having such an opinion? A lot of those folks who signed up for the reality TV shows, they get bullied on social media because everybody has an opinion about their lives, but they are displaying it on the show. And then and it I know there was an article said that there's an increase in depression and suicide
Mhm.
because of how social media has impacted us. So like I said, it's not just about the Me Too movement, and I know we talked about that a lot, but it's about everything. Um the exposure of what happened with R. Kelly, the exposure of what happened with those men who hurt those women, right? They're being bullied for telling their stories, some of them, right? And then it's questionable. We got to have an interview to sit you down and decide whether your story is credible, or if you were actually hurt, or was it extreme enough for something to happen. So it's just it's so messy, and it's pitting, and that's another issue that's pitting women against each other. Some women are like, did it really happen, or whatever have you, or saying, oh, she lied about that, or she did this, or she that. And it's just perpetuated, but it's because of the exposure, right? Not saying that we shouldn't talk about it, but like Mayfield said, it's so saturated that the real change could be affected because of all the outside noise around it that's not helping to heal those women that were hurt, or even work with and heal the men or whoever who offended them, because that's the piece that nobody wants to talk about. Hurt people, you know and when someone offends someone, we focus in on the person who was affected. We forget to think about the offender and where's the why, right? Not that it has to be some extravagant thing. What's going on with you that you thought it was okay to treat another human being in that way? right? And so there's healing on both sides that needs to happen. Whatever the consequences for that person, there's still healing that needs to happen, right? So that person can then heal from their experience, be able to change their behaviors, or either acknowledge that they had something going on that influenced their behavior in the first place. And they cannot pass that on to children, because some of them had children that they're passing those traumas and those behaviors on to, right? And we're passing it on generationally, the things that we swept under the rug and not talking about. So thank you, ladies, for that. So we are now at time. I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. I just have two more questions real quick. Lip gloss or lipstick? Barbara, you first.
Gloss.
Lip gloss, Mayfield?
Lip gloss with the mask, lip gloss.
All right, all right. Heels or flats?
Depend on the occasion.
Depending on the occasion. Well, these are two fashionable ladies, the both of them. I see their little outfits. I be like, first of all, Barbara's picture on the first of all, both of the outfits on the flyer I want. I'll be over to get them soon. But that little jacket Barbara had on. Where were you, Barbara? Barbara travels a lot. Where were you, Barbara?
I was actually in London.
She was in
And
London.
I called it my Wiz Idris Elba tour.
Barbara travels a lot. And I forgot to put my Google form in the chat box. My assistant was supposed to do it and she's not on, but I will share it with everyone. If you're new to the conversation, I do a Google form so that we can share our resources, share who we are, and build a network. My goal is not just to have these conversations, but us to move forward and bring this into the future with us. What we've learned from each other, what we've talked about, and where we want to go as a subculture. So thank you again for joining us tonight. I want to thank my panelists for being vulnerable and open to the conversation. I want to thank those who joined for staying on and being a good audience and listening in. This is recorded, so if you missed some of it, it will be on my YouTube page soon. I'm still working out the technicalities and making edits, but I will be sharing my YouTube channel on my Facebook. You can find me on Facebook, Shimona Kirkland, and on Instagram, I'm Shimona K1. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and you all have a good night.
Shimona, I just want to say something. I just want to give a very special shout out. I have three very good people here, a couple people here that came to support me, including my husband, Natalie, Jerry, but Marty, I want to thank you because Marty has been sick all day long.
Oh, wow.
And she texts me and she says, I want to be there. I'm not feeling well. And I just want to say, Marty, my sister, my 177, LT177 sister, thank you for visiting us.
All right, LT177, LT170 here. So thank you guys. There were a couple of people that jumped off early. So you can, Barbara and Mayfield, you can tell your friends thank you for joining tonight. And I want to again thank you guys for coming on and joining. My buddy is here, LT170. My buddy Karen is on here. And my sister Keisha, my sister Denise, I think she jumped off, and my sister Jessica is here.
And congratulations, 195, graduated recently. 193, I should say.
And my daughter-in-law Nada is on here too. So we have a lot of supporters here tonight. And Geraldine is here. Geraldine, I know you're in LT too. You're a Momentum fam.
Yes, that's my sweet potato.
Yeah, I know that name. That's your cousin too, right?
She's everything.
All right, ladies. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Barbara. Love you. Thank you, Miss Mayfield.
Love you. Thank you.
Everybody have a great night. Barbara, maybe we get some tea tonight.
Adult tea.
Adult tea? Oh, I don't
Adult tea for me. Regular tea for you.
Yeah, regular tea for me. All right. Good night, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.